Very good evening to you. Thank you so much for coming through. This is, as usual, Family Hour. Today is a Thursday. We are glad that you came through. Edrine, Osteen, Mukalazi is my name. And as usual, Thursdays are always leadership and governance. Today, we are back on it to go through another series of interesting experiences on the platform. And we are delighted that is it birthday girl or post birthday girl is with us again after a while. Doctor, it's a pleasure having you.
Thank you very much, and good evening, viewers. I'm very happy to be back here, and thank you for the prayers. I've been growing, and recently I had a birthday. Thank you for celebrating it on my behalf. And thank you for always tuning in on Family TV, yes.
We are delighted. Then, it's a pleasure having you again.
Thank you, Edrine. Good evening, viewers. I think we haven't been a panel for quite some time.
Yes.
So it's finally good to be back. I think Edrine had managed to make us avoid each other this entire time. But no weapon fashioned against us shall prosper. And so we are grateful that we are able to be here this evening.
Doctor, it's unfortunate that Ed has never shared with us somebody. So
well, I will do some investigations and establish a date. We shall plan something.
Okay. Well, today we are looking at the role of discipline and consistency in leadership. When you talk about discipline, there is a misconception when it comes to discipline, and sometimes we fail to differentiate between discipline and rigidity or micromanagement. And I think we can pick it up from there in today's discussion. Doctor, if we can start from with you, differentiating between discipline in leadership and micromanagement, because sometimes we think that actually the rigidity that we exhibit is actually discipline, and we term it that.
Okay. I have read about great leaders on earth. I've read some writings of leaders about discipline, and in reading the lives of great men, I've found that the first victory they have won is over themselves. So someone who is disciplined has got the ability to control himself. Self-discipline basically comes first in one's life, and discipline is about the ability to control your impulses, understanding who you are and what is it that makes you. So when you understand who you are, then you have got the ability to control yourself at all times. And then effective leaders basically practice that self-discipline because it comes before the leadership success. It is a price tag of leadership. So when you look at discipline, that self-discipline among leaders, it is something that is very, very invaluable because you are able to follow some set rules, maintain focus on goals, even despite challenges and distractions. And yet when you look at consistency, it's about having that routine and being intentional and purposeful and having that ability to stick by your principles and values and say, for me, as a leader, I'm going to be doing my things in this style. I'm going to be making sure I manage my time well, and ABCD. So we're saying discipline, that self-discipline is the price tag of leadership. We deal with ourselves before others because as a leader, there is no way you're going to manage other people when you cannot do your own self-management. So the biggest challenge in leadership today is leading ourselves before others. We need to have that ability to lead ourselves, to manage ourselves before we can manage others. And for me, that is what I see as self-discipline. We can't expect to take others further than we have gone ourselves. So if I'm taking you to Kachumbala, I should be able to have reached there first. Then I'll know the distance, I'll know the road, I'll know which direction to take, and so on. So we must travel within before we travel without us leaders. So when you look at self-discipline, it makes leadership, it makes the challenges or the uphill climb of leadership possible for the leaders because everything worthwhile is said to be uphill. So as leaders, in order to get uphill, there are lots of challenges we have to navigate through. No person who has climbed the mountain of success ever said, I have no idea how I got here. I just woke up one day and I found myself here. That is a great lie. We all have to go through challenges. We all have to go through trainings. We all have to be, iron sharpens iron. You have to go through the fire in order to be. So any climb uphill must be deliberate, consistent, and also willful. So we have to be intentional and purposeful on whatever it is we do as leaders in order to go uphill. So self-discipline is very, very essential for a successful life. And for me, I climbed Mount Sinai one time with my family. And the greatest achievement for me in that year was having to go up that mountain with 5 other people who were members of my family. And surprisingly, it had not been snowing for like over 10 years. Surprisingly, that night it snowed and we were there ill-prepared with karamojong blankets, and it started snowing. And we came down the mountain. Of course, we got up there and prayed, and it was like such a big achievement. But the journey down was quite challenging. But for every leader, why am I bringing this story? It is very exciting to take people up. How many hands have you held? How many have you encouraged? How many have you helped to go uphill as well? So self-discipline, first of all, enables you to go uphill. But are you able to help others also to go uphill? Are you able to see them through the challenges? Can you help them navigate through? Can you motivate and inspire them? Can you encourage them? So self-discipline moves you from one good intention to a good action. It is what separates words from ideas, and that is actual results. Someone who is self-disciplined looks at actual results, and that is what separates words from ideas. You can have so many beautiful words and so many ideas, a basket full of ideas, but where there is no action, as leaders, we are not successful at all. And that action comes from a leader who has got self-discipline, who is ready to implement and put all these words into action. So one of the greatest gaps in life is between sounding good and doing good. Are we able to do good? Not only sound good, but do good, and be able to demonstrate the leadership by example, by illustrating the discipline we have in ourselves as leaders. So for me, that is basically the intro I have about self-discipline and consistency. Yes.
Wow. I loved it when you talked about sounding good and doing good. But then, talking about discipline and consistency, let us look at consistency in terms of trust. Is there is there a way consistency in leadership builds the trust with those you lead or with those you serve?
Indeed it does. Consistency just means that the people know you're going to make the decisions, and those decisions are reliable and they are predictable. So as long as I know that whatever decision you make is reliable, that means I can trust it. It is also predictable. That means that I can look back and forth and judge even before Edrine makes this decision that's the decision he's going to make. And so the interplay between trust and consistency is the idea that everybody already knows who you are. They know your value system, they know what you stand for, and they know that at the end of the day, given the facts and the different things that are brought to your table, you will make this decision. I've done that many times when I work with different leaders. Say, for example, an appointment is going to be made in the church sphere specifically. I think it's very predictable where it's going to land. Why? You know the leader, you know how they think, you know the facts that are at play, you know the different interest groups that may be pulling from side to side. You also understand the playing field. And because you understand the playing field, you know that knowing this person, they will make this decision. And so trust and consistency work hand in hand. People are able to know you for who you are. So that means you have to be a person of integrity. Because if you're a person of integrity, then we know that you're consistent in character. If we know that this is the way you make decisions and they are done by policy, they are done on top of the table as opposed to under the table. In a time where a lot of decisions are made under the table, you want to trust a leader that is governed by the policy. And so that's why organizations and entities will always come up with policies that are engendered in the organizational mandate, but also the policies that help people know where they stand. So when it comes to promotion, everybody knows what does it take to be promoted. What level do you move from one to the other? Many times people move from section A to section 5. You've jumped 2, 3, 4. And so the policy will guide on those different things, on those different things such as how are people promoted, what level do they work, what level do they go from one stage to another. So a leader who is consistent can be trusted because there are policies in place and they're going to rely on those policies to arrive at a decision. The other thing about trust and consistency is that when you know the influences around the leader, you're able to trust them. Each of us can make up our own minds, but in truth, we have influences that cause us to make decisions. Remember, consistency is about being reliable, about making decisions in a reliable and predictable manner. Now, if every leader has the ability to be influenced, some people are influenced by their parents and their upbringing. Some people are influenced by peer pressure. And what happens? Peer pressure is not just for teenagers. It can happen to every single one of us. Some people are influenced by faith and how they believe. Some people are influenced by mentors and the mentors that they have picked in their lives. On the off chance, you're influenced by political power. You're influenced by maybe in economics, which I fared in school. Commerce is where I fared. There's that system of give and take, the system of demand and supply. When the demand is high, the supply has to increase. So you're influenced perhaps by what people say. So the trust comes in when you understand the influences that the leader has to deal with, and then you can know and predict their outcome. If I know your influences, I am able to work with those influences to push you into a predictable answer, to push you into the place that we want to be. If faith, you'll automatically, and you've seen this in elections, when it comes to faith, these people influenced by faith, you will start to talk the faith talk. When these people are influenced by for example, they're influenced by a movement or a particular ideology, you start to sing that ideology. Why? You want to influence the decisions. So every time you see somebody that is consistent, also watch for the influences around them, because that usually guides their decision making.
Wow. Talking about decision making, Dr. Wiley, we looked at ethical dilemmas in decision making. It was a hot debate that you really missed. We all prayed you were here, but it comes back to you again.
It's catching
How does discipline influence decision making, especially in moments where you're faced with we could call them difficult situations or dilemmas? Sometimes you're caught in a fix. But
there are situations where, as leaders, we find ourselves in those situations where you're between a rock and a hard thing, and you have to make a decision anyway. You don't. The leaders who would bend, who would run away from it, who would procrastinate. Do you know people who are always getting ready to get ready? People who start a thing and never finish. All the time they're getting ready. I have this brother-in-law who has never set up his village. But he says, I'm organizing myself. But he's growing old now, but he's still organizing himself. So as leaders, we are ultimately measured by what we do and how our actions shape the world around us. So if you're faced with a situation as an ethical dilemma, take a decision based on your values and your ethical beliefs. What do you believe in? And think about the implications of the decisions you're taking. Like, you remember the example I like sharing about Jonah. He took a decision to take a wrong direction, and yet God had said you go to Tarshish. He decided to go to Nineveh. No, he was supposed to go to Nineveh.
Yes.
He was supposed to take the message to Nineveh. Then
Yes.
he took a ship to Tarshish, opposite direction. But that decision he took had implications on many, including the sailors who had to throw their cargo.
Lost their cargo.
The people of Nineveh delayed to receive the message. So what are you doing as a leader? We are talking about self-discipline. Do you know people who start and never finish? Who are always preparing, always getting ready to get ready. For me today, I can say I am still climbing the journey uphill because I've kept maturing under the weight of the journey. There are challenges along the way, but I take every challenge as an opportunity to review God, to learn more about myself, and to get lessons from the challenges I go through, because every day becomes like an exam. Like yesterday I had exams. Today I'm having another set of exams, and one of the exams I'm doing is here on Family TV, where we are unpacking discipline. The greatest accomplishment a leader makes is to have that self-discipline, to have that confidence. Remember in Joshua chapter 1, verse 8 and 9, where it says, be courageous and confident. And courage is not something you just wake up one morning and say, courage, here I've come, I'll grab you. No. You learn over time to build this confidence and courage, because self-discipline makes a difference in the lives of leaders. It's important to understand that as a leader, the price tag of leadership is basically discipline, like I had said already. So what should you do when you should do it? You should be able to take action, do something at the right time when you should do it, whether you feel like it or not. Because at times when we don't take appropriate action, then we basically miss out on opportunities. So it is very, very important for us to be deliberate, to be purposeful and intentional, because self-discipline, if you make self-discipline your habit, then it becomes part of you. It becomes part of you. Everybody will know you for your attributes. Every person has uphill hopes and aspirations and dreams, but how you get there is what matters. Many times leaders rise up using different strategies. Others climb on other people's backs. Others stab other people. Others badmouth others. But what kind of leader are you making through rising in that way? So we're supposed to be motivators. We're supposed to inspire others. We're supposed to pull others uphill so that many can be able to get to that level. So self-discipline is developed. It is not given. We have to develop it. Self-disciplined people avoid temptation. Are you someone who easily succumbs to temptation? Then you need prayers. For instance, I'll give you the example of recently I've been doing exercise and people keep saying, but what is this that drives you? How comes every morning at 5:30 you're here and you're able to go to your office at this time? How comes you're able to cut weight and others are not? And the success of one's diet is determined by what he picks from the grocery, the kind of food he picks from the grocery. Do not eat what is not good for you, and therefore do not buy what is not good. If it is not good for you, then it's also not good for the other members of the family. People who are self-disciplined know when to expend their energy. They know where to put their energy. They know when to burn it out. When do I need to be at my best? Sometimes I ask myself those questions. Is it early in the morning? Is it midday? Is it later in the afternoon? Self-disciplined people understand the practice and the principle of paying now and playing later. It's like an investment you make in your life that, well, I will pay now, but I will play later. So you make certain sacrifices in order to achieve certain results in your life. There are types of people in the area of discipline. One type of people normally put off what needs to be done. They decide to play now and prefer to avoid what he must do. But others prefer to pay first and then have the fun later. Me, I would go with option 2. You pay first and have the fun later. And paying means taking on those sacrifices. Because if you do what you want to do, then you will never get to do what you really want to do. Sometimes it is very challenging. I've given you an example where I get to the gym and it's like I've gone to hospital for review. And the body is saying, not again. But the spirit is saying, yes, we must do it. And the body is saying, please, I got worn out and tired. But the spirit says yes. So that is a self-discipline. It's developed by saying yes when you want to say no. And saying no when you want to say yes. So that is how sometimes you train yourself and be able to be consistent as well. Self-discipline is most easily developed in areas of strength and passion. If you're passionate about something, where do you find the discipline that leads to success? By doing the right thing every day. When you do the right thing every day, that is a discipline that will take you to success. The right thing involves your strength, it involves your passion as well. So a combination of your strength and passion as a leader will be that driving force to take you to a different level in terms of self-discipline. Self-discipline is something that also needs fuel. And from inspiration and motivation, a motivation is a byproduct of passion. That is the fuel that causes that self-discipline to happen. So if you love to do something you are passionate or motivated about, then you will basically enjoy, and people will see and appreciate and say, hey, Edrine has self-discipline and he's able to do this with a passion. He puts all his energy in it. He's able to accomplish his tasks in time simply because he has built this discipline over time. Yes.
Thank you so much, Doctor. Then there are moments where a leader is sometimes rejected, if I can put it like that, or resisted. And other times you're faced with really pressures as a leader. But how do you remain a disciplined leader even in such situations where the resistance is too much?
Is it resistance at work, resistance because you stood for a position and lost? Because I have a story for you.
Please go on.
Oh, no. So you were asking a leader is resisted. And resistance can come in many ways. It can be you stood for a position and lost. It can be you have, again, influences from outside that are forcing you to make a particular decision that even you do not think is right, but you have to make that decision. And so people call you weak as a leader. They'll say you have no backbone. They will say you are gullible, you are weak. And those are difficult places. Many people don't understand the dilemmas or ethical dilemmas that leaders have to sit in. And unless you have walked a mile in those shoes, you will never give grace to that person. And so I understand the place of being rejected, not just even from losing an election before, but also from being at a place of leadership and your team does not agree with your decision. And I remember when I served as the youth chairperson of All Saints Cathedral, it was such a difficult time. Doctrine was changing in the country. And there was this new grace gospel that had arisen in the country, and there were a couple of people who were proponents for this particular gospel. My style of leadership is I liked consensus. I wanted us to agree. I wanted us to sit down and have a conversation with one another. And during that time, it was very difficult because when people are very persuaded by a certain doctrine, there's not much you can do to pull them off that doctrine. Apart from the intervention of God, it's really difficult. And that was one of the hardest times as a leader in that particular space, because it's the first time I actually used my rank to make that decision. What I did was remind them that as long as I hold the seat as the youth chairperson, this decision holds. This is what I think should happen. This is what should happen. We'll go forward. Now, was there repercussion? Yes. People left. People got hurt. But my team, a number of them, because over time I'd worked with them, respected my decision. But there were few elements inside there, 2 or 3 people who said, who does she think she is? She can't tell us to do that. Now, you don't hold the seat at that time. If God gives you grace, you will hold a seat at some point in time. More likely than not, you will never. And so in times such as that, it's difficult for the leader, because people, you'll have those 1, 2, 3 elements who think you are wrong. You have a different eye view and a different ball game, a different view from everybody else. You see beyond just your immediate decisions. You see decisions that are affecting the next generation that is coming after them. You see what is the repercussions of your decisions that are going to affect the wider body of Christ. And that's the eye view that you're given as a leader. And if you practice it long enough, you'll really be good at it. So to your question, what do you do when you're resisted as a leader and you still have to be disciplined? It starts with your value system as a leader. Have a value system that's unshakable. Have a value system that's not defined by situations when they come and they do not come. There are things, and this is very critical, because when influences come in, you will make a decision for yourself. Am I ready to stoop to that level or to rise to that level? Indeed, there will be ethical decisions that will come. It's neither here nor there. Whatever way you pick, you are in trouble. And so having a value system that says, I will pick the lesser evil, is still a value system. Having a value system that says minimal harm is still a value system. Having a value system that says, okay, for me, I beg for blood. I will go for the highest form of effect. It will have the short-term effects. Many people will be hurt, but you'll get the result that you want. But have a value system that is unshakable. As a leader, that will help you when it comes to discipline levels, because people will trust you. People will say, when everyone begins to have those little conversations around you, because as human beings, people talk about you. Whether you are good or bad, they will talk about you. You are news for every day. And so, there will be repercussions. People will talk about you. Your inner circle will talk about you. Your outer acquaintances will talk about you. Everybody. And the problem with leadership is that you're on a pedestal. So people will judge you without knowing what it is that you desire. So have a value system. Stick by that value system. Because even those people on those outside pedestal will commend you. Because they'll say, yes, that person may be hard, but she cannot be bribed. Yes, that person is difficult, but in truth, we also know she doesn't sleep around with people. So that value system is what helps you in those places of discipline when you're being resisted. Without a doubt, the second thing that will help you is having your true north, knowing your true north. May I suggest to many leaders that your faith is what will be your true north. Depend on God. If for 1 minute you begin to depend on self, on character, on people, you're going to be in trouble. Asa was an amazing king in the Bible. He had accomplished much, taken down altars, rebuilt the temple of God, removed the high places, given the people power. He was commended. The only time he turns around is when he forms an alliance with somebody else, a king that was evil. That is when the prophets come to him and say, why did you do that? Was God not enough for you to make that alliance? And it said he arrested the prophet. He got annoyed at the prophet because it had been said. And it said he never again turned. And his latter years, he was sick in his legs. He never even sought God. He sought other people because he was so offended. The thing about power is it elevates you, but you need to be careful that your focus is truly on God. Because in God, you find all the protection you need. You find that you will realize that I'm only a steward of what I've been given. And because I've been given this as stewardship, I will not to turn to God. Very different from David. David committed one of the worst sins as a king. But when the prophet Nathan came to him and said, you have sinned, he said, indeed have I sinned. Against you and you alone have I sinned. Because he focused on God as his true north. He focused God on his anchor. So in leadership, everybody has a say. It's like football. Everybody has a say on the people who are on the pitch. All of us are good, amazing footballers. We are better than the people on the pitch. We are better than the keeper, better than anybody. You will always have people who are not in the arena fighting, and they will have amazing suggestions. Put themselves in the arena. They will make either the same decisions you made or worse decisions, more likely. And so what saves you as a leader is knowing that God is my basis. God is my true north. I look to him, that even in decision making, I know that whatever happens, he has a hold of me.
Wow, thank you so much, then. And at that very note, let's take a short commercial break. When we return, we are going to start from